don't look so excited. Yeah, just that's it. That's that look of excitement.
That's right.
Yeah, all at once. We can talk about all, and I'm learning all this new bass stuff, so this is perfect. I'm going to quiz you.
Yeah, it's a pretty big world, man. That's for sure.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
When we wrote this book, uh, 1/3 of it is freshwater fishing.
Hmm.
So it's a huge world.
Yeah, it is.
So are you ready?
Yep.
You sure? Come on,
Positive.
show me some excitement. You're not even excited about this.
We got to hit it first, man.
And we are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro with the No BS World Tour, coming at you live right after the Christmas vacation. Sitting here with my good friend, Greg DiPalma. Greg, how are you today, sir?
Man, I am good. I am excited to finally be on your show.
Yes. The one place that people can talk about fishing and not get made fun of, or get made fun of and still go fishing.
Right.
So how was your holidays?
It was great. How was yours?
Man, I'll tell you what, it was really, really nice. I unplugged for a little bit. I tried my first ever going cross-country skiing.
Wow.
And
how'd that go?
Like a fart in church, dude. Like a
Oh, God.
fart in church. I think I landed on my face at least a dozen times, but I did it with grace.
I bet you did.
Well, and my girlfriend's name is Naomi. For anybody that's asking, I didn't, her name is not Grace. She dislocated her shoulder though.
Ouch.
She fell when she went to push herself back up, popped right out. I got lucky. I landed on my face a bunch. I even the day before we went, what's that called? Snowmobiling. Have you ever gone snowmobiling?
Nah, usually when I do the snow thing, I mean, I just do, snowboarding solely. That's all I ever do. So,
well, I was able to flip a snowmobile.
oh man, you had a heck of a weekend.
Well, you know what? It's kind of like my life. I go right to the edge and then I push it a little bit farther.
I know how that feels too.
That's what I do. The guy that was leading the whole snowmobile deal, he's like, every crowd has one, and you're the one.
Some reason I can believe that.
You're the one.
Yeah.
So anyway, before we get going on all the BS, let me say hello to the couple of people that are watching. I see Corey from Oregon. I see Moab from the Galapagos, and I see Jay right here from Palm Beach County. So, Greg, you are in Southern New Jersey.
Yes.
And you have taken the plunge into full-time professional bass fishing.
Yes, sir. Fished the Bassmaster Elite Series. Last
time I saw you, you were trying to decide whether to go 100% pro.
Yeah, and I took that plunge, man. I think you're going to bring it up. I worked for my dad for years doing construction, and it got to a point to where I felt inside of me that I just had to go for it. So I quit cold turkey and I started a guide service to keep myself on the water. Within 2 years after starting that guide service, I finally broke through and made it.
Nice. So for those people that are listening, what was that point where you finally said, okay, I just want to do this? Tell everybody what was going through your mind.
Man, it's kind of weird. If you have, the one thing about this sport, whether it's fresh or saltwater, we all have this weird drive, I feel, that's inside of us that no matter what's going on around you, you just feel like you have to do it. And it got to a point for me where enough was enough. I would spend 40 hours a week swinging a hammer. And I just felt like, Greg, you need to be on the water with all your time. That's where all your time has to be. So that was a turning point for me where I just kind of broke inside and I said, screw it. And I was scared. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I started something fresh, a guide service, just so I can spend more time on the water fishing. And, in the beginning it was tough, but then it just started to build and started to work out. And by the second year, it was full blown. It was wide open. But I was fishing every single day. So the part of me that I felt like that I was missing was there. And it just helped me to be, make decisions faster on the water and made me a better fisherman by being out there 24/7.
So I have to give a big shout out because Junior just joined in, Dominic Lacombe Jr. just joined in. And it was so funny. I wasn't 100% sure if he was going to join in or not. I'm glad to see him because I met you through Dom Sr.
Yep.
Dom Sr. and your father are childhood friends.
They are.
And actually, last time I was up in southern New Jersey, I actually went perch fishing with your dad.
I heard. He actually told me to tell you the perch are biting good.
Yeah, but it's probably too damn cold. Me and your dad had a great time perch fishing, and I can draw the picture in my head. I couldn't tell you where we're at. And it was like we went to the boat and we maybe ran 100 yards at most, and he drops down. And he goes, "Okay, we're here."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "What?"
I know that spot.
I'm an offshore guy, so I'm used to running and running and running. No, your dad's like, okay, we're here. He goes, there's a hole there and there's a hole there. Try to throw it in the hole, and by the time it gets in there, you'll catch a perch.
No doubt.
So, and I can't even remember if we kept them or not. Probably did.
I would say yes. He keeps them all. Nine inches or bigger, he keeps them.
There's a lot of things I could say about that, but I'm just going to leave it alone.
Right?
So, now you are originally from southern New Jersey.
Yes. Yep.
That's where you've done all your fishing. Did you ever take a foray into the saltwater side, or has it always been freshwater?
So starting out as a young kid, it was perch and catfish out back. Lucky enough that I grew up on a place called the Morris River. My dad was always in the saltwater. So yes, I would, randomly as a child growing up, I would say from like 5 years old to probably 15, I was doing the stripers, bluefish, weakfish, flounder, all that stuff.
Cool. And when did you make that turn to freshwater?
Man, my grandfather, Gary Montana, was kind of big into freshwater fishing for largemouth and smallmouth bass. And as a child, I always kind of wondered about it because I never did it. And then I finally went out with my grandpa, and that was probably the turning point where I started to go towards fresh instead of salt. And I kind of stopped saltwater fishing.
Just like that.
Just like that.
You were able to give it up just like that?
Yeah, and usually it's the opposite way. A lot of guys that I do know that bass fish, they do some saltwater fishing and they get hooked right away and they're gone from freshwater. But for me, it was the opposite. I worked one summer. I was like 14 years old. I worked all summer with my dad, and I saved up $500 and I bought my first John boat. And it was just game on from there.
And that was it.
Yep.
So you bought that John boat. What was your next boat? What was your next boat?
A bigger John boat. I went from a 1232 to a 1436, and then I had that for years. And then I kind of dabbled back and forth with bigger size John boats. And then I finally, when I was 17, I bought my first glass boat. It was a 17-foot nitro bass boat.
Nice. How long did you have that for?
I had that probably for 4 years, somewhere in that realm. And then I, worked hard at it. I started fishing bigger tournaments, and I ended up buying my very first brand new bass boat at like 20 years old.
Wow. And how old are you now?
38.
Damn, you old.
Yeah. How old are you?
That's none of your business, man.
You got more gray than I got.
No, I don't have any gray.
I see some right here.
Yeah, I see. There is a couple of grays here, but that's one thing. It's funny because Junior, he's watching, he has more grays than me, and I'm 10 years older than him.
Man, I haven't seen Dominic in forever. I'm actually, so he probably doesn't know this yet. So I'm coming down to the St. John's February 11th for a tournament in Florida. And then from there, I'm actually going to go to the boat plant. I'm going to go to American Custom Yachts, and I'm actually going to drop my boat off there. He doesn't know this. I'm dropping my boat off there, and then I'm heading down to West Palm Beach with my dad.
What are you going to do in West Palm?
Just hang out and have a good time for a week.
Oh, that's where I live, man. I'm in West Palm.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm right there, just down the road.
Well, are you going to stop by?
Are you doing any fishing?
Yeah, I think so. Little Jimmy Castellini is going to bring his boat down, and we're going to fish. I guess, for the past 3 years, they've rented a house down there somewhere for the last 3 years, and they've been staying for a month. So this year, being that I have a gap in between my first tournament and second tournament, I'm going to stop down there and hang out.
So being that I see that he's still watching, I am volunteering Junior to take us out fishing.
I am down with that.
On his new boat.
Oh, what's he got?
I forgot. Junior, could you answer that question? He just got a new boat, but did you ever hear the story of his old boat? and how it got its name?
I have no idea. Let's hear it.
So he had a 25-foot blue water, and anybody that's listened to the podcast has heard this story at least once, but I got to tell you, because you've known each other since you were kids.
Yep.
So it was like December 23rd. It was this time of year, but it was right before Christmas. And he's like, Fly, let's go out and see if we catch a sailfish. And I'm like, sure, why not? So we took his 25-footer out Stewart Inlet. I can't remember if we caught or if we didn't. That's above my pay grade right now, because the story has nothing to do with what we caught. So we're out there, we're having a good time. I think we caught a sailfish or two, and it was like 3:00 in the afternoon. Hey, it's a North Carolina custom. That's what he says. And it's in the shed.
Mm.
So we're like, hey, it's 3:00. Oh, he did say we did catch one. Okay. We can't see. I don't remember what we caught, but I remember when we decided to go home. So it's like 3:00.
Uh-oh.
It's winter time. Sun's going down. Hey, let's go home. And again, it's Christmas time. We're relaxing. We might as well smoke a cigar. So we're smoking a cigar and we're heading home. Well, we get, I don't know, halfway home. Next thing you know, we spin a hub, but not completely. Just enough where we can only make 4 knots. And me being Cuban, 4 knots is great. I'll make 4
Right?
knots all day
That's
long.
more than the wind's pushing normally.
Yeah, exactly. So we're cruising, making 4 knots, and we're having a good old time, telling funny stories. And we get to the inlet, and there's just enough of an outgoing tide that we're like, I don't know if we can beat that tide. You know, that tide's probably going 4 knots. By this time, we're only making maybe 3, 2. So he's like, hey, why don't we call Towboat US? Okay, cool. So he does not have his membership card on him. So he has to call his wife. So she sends him a photo of his membership card. And Dom, being junior of senior, he's great at delegating.
I'm sure he is.
He is phenomenal at delegating. So he delegates to me to call. And that's fine. I don't mind. But you got to understand, once you delegate it to me, I get to do it my way. You know how Frank Sinatra said it? I get to do it my way.
Yep.
So I get the phone, I put it on speaker. Hey, this is Dominic Lacombe Jr. We're a disabled vessel. We're sitting right here at the inlet. She's like, is anybody hurt? No, there's nobody hurt. We just don't want to try the inlet. Can you just send somebody out? Cool, not a problem. What kind of boat is it? What color is it? Hey, what's the name of your vessel? And I look over at Junior and without missing a beat, I go, yeah, this is the ravioli roller. and he literally falls off the rocket launcher, busting up laughing. For those that don't know, Junior is a very proud Italian man.
So am I, man. I like that name.
So his aunt, the name of her boat was the Pasta Lady.
Oh, yeah?
So
is that really his boat's name, or you just made it up on the fly?
I made it up on the fly, but here's the thing. It's still the name.
I like it.
So we actually had some people, we had some mutual friends make him a logo, which is the Rolls-Royce logo, RR, and it stands
Ravioli roller.
The ravioli roller.
That's great. That's really good. That's a good story.
It's been the ravioli roller since. He's since got a new boat. And he's like, I don't know if we can keep the same name. I go, hey, listen, it has nothing to do with you. Towboat US has it in their system. You're the ravioli roller, man.
That's the ravioli roller too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Part dos. And big happy holidays to you too, McGrew Rice, all the way from Kona, Hawaii. So now you started fishing tournaments at an early age, didn't you?
Yeah, real early. Yep.
Like how early?
15's the first one I got into. So before I can drive. My dad used to bring me and drop me off.
Were you fishing off the bank, or were you fishing on somebody's boat?
No, that small little John boat I bought.
Oh, so he would drop you off, and
yep. He used to co-sign for me to fish.
Oh, because you couldn't do it by yourself.
I was too young. You had to be 18 years old.
Wow. So would you be on the John boat by yourself?
Yeah, or a couple of my buddies would, kind of go with me. My stepbrother, he fished a few with me.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell for those people who have never fit, and I've never fished a bass tournament. So would you mind kind of walking us through exactly how a bass tournament operates, or the ones that you, especially your first one?
Yeah. So basically Locally, every single state has a ton of bass clubs. Here in New Jersey, there's probably like 50, and it's very organized, believe it or not. So you basically get 8 hours to fish. It's a designated time. So let's say it's 7 to 3, 8 hours to fish. You're allowed to keep 5 of your biggest fish. You can do a calling process throughout the course of the day where, if you catch a bigger one, take the smaller one out. Only 5 can be in your live well at one time. At the very end of the day, when you come in, everybody, pretty much comes in, boats their boat, and whoever has the most weight out of the 5 fish, it's pretty cut and dry. That's the winner. And then there's always a lunker pool also where the biggest fish comes in.
Where the biggest fish comes in.
Yep. So there's always first, second, third lunker. That's usually the format.
I like this whole lunker thing.
I do too. Catch it a lot.
I can't. It's funny because I have some friends. They have a tournament in the Gulf of Mexico, and they call it the Mongo tournament, and it's the biggest of the entire summer. Wow. So it just keeps getting replaced depending on who catches the biggest, and it's Mongo. But I like lunker too.
Yep.
So it's a pretty cool thing. Now, how many fishermen are normally in these tournaments you're fishing?
So locally here in South Jersey, most of our lakes are only about 50 to 100 acres. They're very small. And sometimes you'll have up to 40, 45 boats on these lakes, which is like crazy, especially in the early tournaments where it's like cold out, like March or even a October tournament. A lot of the fish are going towards wintering holes or in the wintering holes, which means our lakes, our average depth is like 2.5, 3 feet, but there's always a section of the lake where it's maybe 4 or 5 feet. So you have 30 or 40 boats in one circle, basically all throwing the same cast over and over. You got to watch your cast because the lakes are so small, you might hit another boat. So fishing in New Jersey is very, very tough, to say the least.
So is that because there's a bunch of people from New Jersey there?
It's fishing tough because the lakes are so small and there's only so many fish we have.
Yeah, that went right over you. I was trying to give you an opportunity to make fun of people from New Jersey.
I can't because I'm from New Jersey.
And it's so funny. I just do it because I know I do it because Dom's watching.
He's he's Jersey.
What do you mean? He is Jersey. That's why I pick on him.
He got out of here real early, but he's still, got it in him.
And it's so funny because I fish with Mike Samuels all the time from the Viking Service Center. He's from Jersey, so I pick on all of them.
I take it.
And here's you always know somebody from Jersey is because they like scrapple.
Is that why?
Yeah. Do you like scrapple?
No.
Yeah, I think it's the nastiest looking stuff around.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying hello to you. John Knight.
What's up, Johnny?
So, and then we got Luis from Guatemala. My good buddy Ayman, all the way from Saudi Arabia. He's part of the Saudi Water Sport Federation. Yeah, the tournament we put on over there, he's in charge of that department. So Ayman, good to see you. It's good to see everybody. So now this is going to help broaden your horizons. Maybe we can get you out to Saudi Arabia fishing sometime.
Maybe.
So it's if you can cast and jig, it's just they're bigger.
Yeah,
think of a bass. They catch giant trevallies over there. So yeah, think of a bass, but 40 pounds.
No doubt. They're the ones where they're jigging, they're just ripping it straight up, and you just got to go.
Well, that's on the jigging side. That's for the dogtooth tuna. Most of those GTs are catching them on poppers.
Ooh.
So have you ever thrown a popper?
Saltwater popper?
Yeah.
I know they're a lot bigger, a lot more aggressive, and you got to rip it, right?
Dude, it's a full body workout.
Yeah. So I actually this year, and you probably know this company, coming into 2021, I actually teamed up with a saltwater company that's starting a freshwater line called Nomad. You ever hear of that?
Oh, yeah. Nomad, all the way from Australia.
Correct. Yeah. So Nomad is going to try to break through this year with myself in the freshwater world.
So I'm trying to remember what his name is off the top of my head. It's in my phone. Damian Olson.
Yep.
Damian Olson. So I had invited Damian for our second annual tournament in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He was invited before this whole craziness of 2020 started.
Yep.
It was a great event last year. Wait a second. Corey from Oregon. We catch lingcod on the Oregon coast are bigger than a largemouth bass. Everything's bigger than a largemouth bass except a crappie. Crappie.
That's bass family.
So Actually, I'm scheduled. I'm trying to work it out. I'm scheduled to go ice fishing for the first time next month.
I actually went one time 2 years ago, and it was so much fun. Literally, it was so much fun.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never done it.
Yep.
I actually have a trip to South Dakota planned next month to go bison hunting.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
I come to find out that on either side, the weekend before and the weekend after, there's an ice fishing tournament that was in my book. It's a series. And the guy's like, man, why don't you come and fish? And I'm like, okay, I think I will. Just to say I've done it. I've never done it.
Yeah. Well, it was probably a lot more fun for me because I went with a handful of my buddies and we were using tip ups. So when the flag would go up, it was a mad dash across it, like fighting the whole way there. Whoever got the rod got it. So we had a lot of fun. There was some drinking involved, but still.
Yeah, that's the only way to stay warm, man.
This is true.
That's the only way to stay warm. And since I quit drinking, yeah, it's cold. It's just cold,
especially where you're going. That's real cold.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. South Dakota, Iowa, Montana. It's freezing.
Wide open, windy.
So let's get back to when you were fishing these tournaments.
Yep.
You started at 15 years old. And at what point did you go pro? Did you decide to go pro?
Yeah. So just to explain a little more about the sport. So we have a thing called the Bassmaster Opens, which is basically the AAA of bass fishing. It's still a pro level, but it's the only way you can break through and fish the Elite Series. You have to qualify. So for me in 2006, that was the first year that I fished the Bassmaster Opens.
And how'd you do?
So my very first year in 2006, I qualified for the Elite Series, my very first try.
Okay.
I actually ended up turning it down because financially, as you know, fishing is super expensive. Saltwater is ridiculous what it costs. Just your fuel alone is ridiculous what you guys spend. But in the freshwater world, basically to fish the Elite Series is about $100,000 just to fish it.
Okay.
Between entry fees and at that time I was 20 some years old. There was no way I could afford it, so I basically turned my dream down the very first shot I had at it.
How hard was that?
It was hard, man. I definitely cried over it, no doubt. It was emotional.
And how old were you at that time?
I want to say I was probably 25.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just because you couldn't figure out a way to pay for the whole thing.
Yeah. So my freshwater bass fishing is very sponsor driven, to say the least. Everything is basically, if you're not well off, you have to do it the hard way where you have to work. For me, I was very fortunate. I met some guys in the tackle industry called Susquehanna Fish and Tackle. And they were kind of big time in the actual game as far as knowing all the industry people that run the companies. So for me, meeting them guys early on was a big, big part of my success of my career. So after I turned it down, I met them guys, and then I had all the time in between to where I qualified, for the elites a couple of years ago to build all these relationships with all these new companies.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I actually, I sponsored my first fishing person last year.
Oh yeah.
She fished, I forget what series, out of Georgia, and then California. Somebody called me up. Hey, will you sponsor? Okay, sure. So it is very sponsored. It's something on the saltwater side is all brand new.
Really, that's hard to believe because, man, it's such a big sport. Saltwater.
It's huge, but most of the time, like you said, it's just somebody that's very
well
off.
Yep.
And then guys like us, they pay us for our knowledge to be with them. And it's not like you're just fishing one person. It's a team of 6, 8, 10 people. So your sponsor is the owner of the boat usually, but little by little, there's a lot of companies that are breaking into saltwater, same way you see them in the freshwater.
Yeah,
so now go ahead.
It's kind of an untapped resource right now is kind of what it sounds like for saltwater. I mean, if you can be the guy to kind of break through and really make this thing a business as far as sponsorship goes, it could be a big avenue, right? Is that what you're trying to say or no?
It can be a big avenue because of the people, because of the reach. It's a whole new reach. I know a lot of companies that tried to get into the saltwater. It's different. It's different because of the fact that everybody comes to the weigh station at a bass tournament. Everybody does, but not everybody goes to a weigh station in a billfish tournament.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah.
depend, and it's also depending on um, a lot of tournaments. Like right now, our sailfish season is all release. So at the end of the day, you're just dropping off SD cards.
Really, is that how you do it?
Yeah, SD cards, and now there's a lot of new upload apps and stuff like that.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
what are just to make sure we give your sponsors some love? What are some of your sponsors that you're dealing with right now?
So also in my sport, a lot of guys, including myself, have a lot of sponsors outside of the industry, which is honestly the best way to get bigger money. But within the industry, I have Shimano, Nomad, like I said, AFCO. My sponsors outside. My title sponsor is Northeast Precast, basically, which is a franchise owner of Superior Walls, who I also deal with corporate. It's a foundation company that's basically East Coast but still nationwide. For us with bass fishing too, and I know you guys have it a little bit in saltwater where you guys wrap your boats, but we have our trucks, our boats wrapped. So, I drive 50,000 miles a year going to these tournaments across United States, so I'm always advertising. And then on top of that, Bassmaster is big time on television. So we have Fox this year, which is going to view our tournaments live every Saturday and Sunday for every event. So that's huge. That's on FS1. So that's straight up with however many viewers, 90 million.
That's quite a few.
Giant. Yeah.
Now you're talking. Now in those tournaments are they all being broadcast?
Everyone.
Every single one of them.
Fox guarantee that's every single one.
And how many tournaments are in your series?
So there's 9 tournaments.
In the Bassmaster Classic?
That's additional. That's 10. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So the Classic's going to view every day. So our tournaments are 4 days long, which basically the full field fishes day 1, day 2. Then from there, it gets dropped down to the top 50. And then from there, it goes down to the top 10 for the last day. And it's the same thing. Consecutive, your weight carries over every day. Whoever has the highest weight keeps on going.
Okay. So once they make it up to the top 10, it's not like you lost your weights from the day before.
Everything carries over. Yep.
Everything carries over. So it's they're not individual one-day tournaments.
Nope. Everything. So all the professional side is all at least 4-day tournaments.
Okay.
Consecutive. The only thing that's one day is your local derbies, basically.
Now, John Knight says Mike and George from SFT are great, and that's how he met you.
Okay. Yeah, that's that tackle company I was telling you about that I met early on.
Okay.
And them guys, they have a huge following also. They actually run a podcast every Saturday also.
And are you ever on that podcast?
Yeah, I was on it about 2 weeks ago. I was on it.
What'd you talk about?
We more or less, them guys are just basically revolve around the industry. They kind of have a niche because they can talk about anything because they sell everything.
Okay.
So they talk about what's hot in the industry, what's going on for 2021 with Bassmaster, just anything fishing, basically freshwater fishing.
All right. Yeah, this one, being it's called the No BS World Tour, we just BS and shoot the shit, and
that's good.
We talk about fishing and what it takes, because there's so many people that don't know. Like, I never knew you can become a fisherman as a profession until somebody called me up and said, "Hey, will you come with me to Mexico?" What? I'm going to pay you. What?
Yeah.
And I had no clue. So one of the things I try to do with the podcast is give people access to the professional community, whether it be freshwater, saltwater, inshore, offshore, anything, even hunting. So I just want people to get outside, man. That's the biggest thing.
That is the biggest thing.
Get outside, even if it's freezing cold. Here in Florida, it's freezing right now for Florida standards. I think it was 55 degrees this morning.
Woo.
It's a whopping 70, which is cold for Florida, man. I want to say they had we had our winter last week when I wasn't home. Our winter lasts for about 7 to 10 days. That's it. It's done.
Man, poor you.
Yeah, poor me. Listen, I need to get back outside just to get a tan.
Right.
So I need to get back out. When was the last time you went fishing?
Yesterday.
What'd you catch?
3. Just walked around.
You didn't even have the boat in the water.
Just walk. So that's another thing too. So the whole entire freshwater thing is a business. So every year I get a new boat, get a boat at a pretty good discount where I can flip it every year and make some money on it. So the new boat will be here in about 2 weeks.
Oh, so that's why you're fishing off the shore. You don't have a boat right now.
I have a small boat. I have a John boat. Yeah, but this time of year I like to walk around certain places because I know where they live this time of year, and I can just walk and throw it on top of their heads.
Now, if you want, being Cuban, I have a couple spare inner tubes. I'll lend them to you all day long, man.
All right.
If you need it, yeah. The only thing is you got to add extra air pressure because the cold air,
Are they
it packs.
registered?
No, they're not registered. You don't need to register. Yeah, there's no name, there's no nothing. Just make sure they're right up to 40 psi.
So when I'm done with it, I just leave it there. Is that what I do? Or
no, you just deflate it, roll it up, and put it wherever you need it.
A backpack.
Come on. This is recyclable, man. Don't you know we're 2020? We got to recycle stuff. You don't just throw it on the side of the road. What do you think this is, South Jersey, man?
Yeah, right. That's how North Jersey is. That's for sure.
See, I knew I was going to be able to make some kind of a Jersey joke at some point or another. So, now you were doing these professional tournaments, but you made that decision to become pro. And at what point, because there's always a tipping point. Whenever you go into business for yourself, there's a tipping point. You're going to jump off. You have to jump off and believe in yourself.
For sure. And that's why I quit to begin with.
You have to do it.
Yep.
And you're going to get torn up. You're going to not make a lot of money. But at some point, there's a tipping point where suddenly it's like, aha, I'm finally doing it.
Yep.
When was that point?
So I guess it was 2017. That was the point where I really just was, I don't want to use the word fed up with just, doing the normal routine of work every day in life, but that's pretty much what it comes down to. 2017 was, like I said, that's the year I quit working. That was the hardest year financially of my entire life, period. Because, I tried to start something on my own and just went for it. And thank God it worked out because it was tough.
What'd your dad say to you?
He was a little bit hesitant, but he's never once in my life not told me to go for something. He started his own company right out of high school. So he kind of probably knew what I was feeling inside. You just know what you know what you can do. No matter what it takes, you just know you can make it happen. So he was always supportive.
And never once come back to work, nothing.
Never said that ever. Never.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then after that first year, you got established and you made all your connections.
Yeah. So after, with the guide service, so there's a place called the Upper Bay, which is the Upper Chesapeake Bay. That's where I started guiding for largemouth at. The first year, like I said, it was a little bit tough, trying to get clients, get the word out there. But by the second year, my phone just rang every day for guide trips. So it kind of made it easily, financially, it started to get easier. But on top of that, like I said, the thing that happened right away was my fishing started to really excel because I was fishing every single day. So that's what kind of brought me to the next level, honestly.
That's one thing people don't understand. Over the years, I always get, oh, you always catch so many fish, and how come you guys were always so much better? And it's like, wait a second, time out. We were fishing 250 days a year.
Yep.
You're fishing 8 hours a day. We're fishing 14 hours a day. We're not doing anything different other than fishing a lot.
Yep.
And
no matter what you do, any craft you beat on like that, you are going to get better.
Absolutely. The more you do it, and the more days you do it consecutively, the better you're going to get at it. Because if you were fishing yesterday, you know where they were.
Yep. Oh my God. It got easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't have to go looking for them. You know where they were yesterday.
Yep.
You know where they were the day before.
Yep.
So if they moved in any direction, they're going to continue moving.
Yep. And you move with them. Yep.
Exactly. So that's a big deal, and it really helps. And like you said, when you have clients that you can go out every day, you start learning new things.
Yep.
So that's a really big deal. Now here's a question, and correct me if I'm wrong. You just recently got engaged, didn't you?
I did.
How long ago?
So it's been probably, I don't know the actual date, man. You're putting me on the spot.
No. Listen,
6-7 months ago. So
yeah, you can say within the year.
It was 2020.
What a year!
What a year! That's one of the only good things that came out of 2020
Yeah, well, for you, and
for
it's
me.
so fun. Yeah, because it's so funny because so many people have asked about 2020 and how crazy it was. I had to cancel 3 events, but at the
Yep,
same time, I started all these other things. So anytime that there's a problem, that means it's giving you an opportunity.
correct.
So, how about on the tournament trail? What kind of things did you see different because of all the COVID stuff?
And it changed. It changed us a lot. So Bassmaster, the organization I fish for, we were the only tournament trail that completed our season. So we had 2 tournaments in the beginning of the year, and our Bassmaster Classic was literally like a week before all this stuff blew up. So that was the last tournament we fished, and then they canceled like all our whole entire schedule from the Classic on completely changed. We just stopped fishing for the year in November. So typically we're done in July. So they
Oh,
moved
wow.
yeah, they moved all of our tournaments. So when the stuff started to slow down, Bassmaster reorganized, changed the lakes, did all kind of stuff, and finished our year out. So it was I don't want to say it was a drawn out year, but it was a different kind of fishing year because Bassmaster hasn't gone into the fall in probably 20 years in fishing. They always stop in the summertime. So it was a lot different, but props to Bassmaster for keeping us going because man, it means a lot to us guys. I mean, besides sponsorship wise, we're still making money in tournaments. That's how we make our living. So it was good.
So, actually, that brings up a good point. Can you describe to people, especially me, because I don't know,
Yep.
how does that work as far as prize money, making money at the tournament itself?
Yeah. So last year we had 85 contenders. So the Bassmaster Elite Series is a giant organization, but it's very small fisherman wise. It's the same 85 guys that qualify or requalify every year that fish the tournament scene. If you get first place in the tournament, it's 100 grand. If you get last place, you get 85th. It's $2,500. So every spot gets paid. The turning point is basically 40th place is $10,000, and then it just kind of falls from there.
Okay.
So you can make some serious coin if you really fish really good for a year. And then if you also win Angler of the Year, whoever has the most points. So it's on a point system. If you get first place, you get 100 points. There's always 100 points every tournament. So if you get second place, 99, so on and so forth. At the end of the season, whoever has the most points accumulated also wins an additional $100,000. So
How'd you do this year?
this year was the toughest year of my fishing career. I came in 63rd.
Okay.
But, I will say this year, whenever you have tough events as a bass fisherman, I don't know why, but you learn way more than you would have learned in an event where you kick their butt. It's crazy. I can't explain that. So they always say your freshman year, this is my freshman year, was always everybody's toughest year. And I don't know why they say that, but it was true for me this year. It was really tough, but I still learned. This year was a year of missing fish, losing fish, fighting into the boat. I had opportunities this year where I thought I could have won 2 tournaments, and I knocked myself out of position by losing fish in the course of the day.
Wow.
Yeah, unreal year, just a crazy, crazy, wicked year. 2020. That's all I got to say.
Well, life is like that. You learn more from your mistakes
True that. Yep.
than you do from your successes.
Yep.
And when you have a mistake, if you don't learn something from it, then you miss an opportunity.
Yep. For sure.
So, and that's everything in life. That's not just fishing. That's just anything in life. If something happens and if you don't learn from it, then you missed a great opportunity.
Yep.
So, and it being your freshman year, so be it. If your freshman year and you came up 65th, you're right there. You're in the middle.
Yeah, I'm still in the hunt. It's crazy because like this year coming into 21, my sponsorship actually went up dollar wise because they're seeing such a big return. Even though I had a kind of a crappy year, just the publication that Bassmaster puts out there between the magazines, the books, television, they're all seeing a massive return. So it's still a good thing that I still did because I was always in front of the camera no matter what. It's just there's like I said, there's always opportunities no matter what's going on.
So I don't know if you know this or not, and just because of all the stuff I've been doing lately, we've actually, as a nation, we've added between 12 and 13 million new fishermen.
I heard. Yep.
Since COVID started.
Yep.
So where we were at 47, 48 million, we're now at 60 million fishermen.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable what we've added. I mean, it's the perfect social distancing sport.
It is. It really is.
It really is. And a lot of people just want to be outside.
Yep.
So we've added all these new people, and every company that I've talked to, it's not a problem of what they're selling. It's a problem getting enough product.
Yep.
They don't have enough product.
Same in freshwater. I mean, they can't keep up. The companies cannot get the supplies to the demand. Basically, they can't keep up.
No, that's because there's so many people. So I have a question. Somebody has a question right here. Do you use custom poured soft plastic bass baits?
A little bit. I do. Listen, there's the sport we do. There's so many times I'll come into the ramp at the end of the day. There's somebody there that's pouring their own baits, wants me to try them, wants me to use them. I get it 24/7. I get stuff shipped in the mail. I don't know how they even get my address. It's just, but yes, I do use custom poured baits sometimes. Correct. Yep.
And for those people that don't know what custom poured baits are, could you please let everybody know what it is?
Yeah. So there's an easy way to do it, and then there's a hard way to do it. You can basically just go on the internet and you can buy molds that are already precasted, and you just pour your own baits into them. And then there's a hard way to do it where you can actually get a custom mold made, which costs a ton of money, which is kind of like what a lot of people don't do. They just kind of do the same everyday pour. So that's kind of more or less a custom, pour, if you will.
So explain, like you're talking about rubber worms. Is that a soft bait?
Heating the plastic up, melting it down, putting it into a mold, kind of compressing the mold together. When it's all dry, you open the mold up and you can just peel the bait out of it.
I'd rather go buy one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you would rather go buy one, but if you're somebody trying to start a tackle store or a tackle company, you want to get a custom mold and kind of break the mold, if you will, because you want to try to, fishing's like a one-hit wonder. If you can come out with a bait that's like a one-hit wonder song, dude, you can make millions of dollars if you can nail it. You just gotta.
So when are you going to come out with your first bait?
So myself and Nomad we're in the process of starting a line of design of baits. A lot of the baits we're going to design are basically, there's a lot of good baits on the market. Some need to be critiqued and be better. I can make them better is what I'm trying to say by doing certain things. It's like even in the saltwater world, I'm sure there's probably saltwater boats that are awesome. And then there's another company that's got one really good thing about their boat, but they don't have this about their boat. If you put it all together, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, that's something new because I mean, I've poured lures before, but to pour enough for a whole season, I'd rather go buy them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hear that too. Yeah, because and even in starting a company, man, you're talking thousands of pours.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not one of those guys that changes constantly. I rather pull what I know is going to work.
Yeah,
and run over them.
It's kind of the same in the bass world. I mean, there are certain lakes you go to that there is little secrets, about certain bodies of water, whether it's a color, a shape, a size. There's definitely some little things that do matter. But for the most part, you can get away with bass fishing. Color-wise, green, pumpkin, black, blue is universal colors that work anywhere in the country.
What's that color again?
Black and blue or green pumpkin.
Black and blue or green pumpkin.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Black and purple is my favorite.
And black and purple is good in bass fishing too. But black and blue would be, I would say, one of the best, if not the best.
All right. Okay. Now that you bring up that point, in 2020, we're like 3 days away from the end of 2020. Yep. What is the one lure that you've caught most of your fish on this year?
Well, so the one lure that I caught most of my fish on, and it's a lot of stuff that we do in freshwater comes from saltwater, believe it or not. There's a thing called a drop shot, which basically is kind of a top and bottom rig. It's got a weight down the bottom and your bait's above it. It's a finesse technique. And this is a hand poured worm. I catch more fish on a drop shot than anything. And the worm is called a Robo Worm. The color is actually called Morning Dawn. It's a pinkish kind of color. I don't know why this pinkish color excels. It could be muddy water, clean water. It just catches them flat out. They can't take it.
Really?
So that's been my staple for freaking, I don't know, 10 years.
Pink worm.
Yeah, I know. It sounds really girly.
No, it doesn't. It's funny because When I go salmon and trout fishing, my favorite is a little pink grub.
Yep.
And I put it on a jig head, and it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing.
Yep.
It just, I don't know what it looks like. They love it.
I tried to figure it out, dude. I can't explain it. It just freaking catches them everywhere as they go, especially in tough scenarios.
Listen, I don't need an excuse. I don't need an answer. I
You
just
already
need
know.
more fish.
That's it.
I need
Especially
more fish.
Same for me, man. You fill that box up, man. That's money.
That's all that matters.
Yep, that's it.
Hello, Oliver, all the way from the UK. Oliver Taylor joining us. Has it ever been on your radar? Have you ever paid attention to the Predator series in Europe? The Predator Urban series. So in Europe, muskie fishing is huge.
Okay.
And they got this full Predator series that jumps from country to country, but everybody's fishing in the cities. Everything's built up on each other. And these guys are catching these monster muskies right in the cities. So it's really, really big in Europe.
Wow.
That and carp fishing.
Oh, I know that's big. That's huge.
Carp fishing's huge.
Huge. Whole different level.
It's just, it's funny because you go to different regions, and even here in the United States, we have different regions we go to and we catch different things. But it's so neat when you start seeing all this different kind of fishing overseas. And actually, I just got invited to go bass fishing in Japan.
Oh, yeah. Bass fishing in Japan is like God.
It is. It's huge.
Yep.
I was supposed to, and just this morning I was told, hey man, we may have to put a wrench in it, but I was supposed to kick off a brand new all release Blue Marlin tournament in Okinawa, Japan.
Wow.
But now because the country's all closed down, if it doesn't open up soon, I just can't plan it. But part of the deal was I was going to go bass fishing on the mainland part. And it is unbelievably huge. And if you've ever gone into a tackle shop in Japan, it's amazing.
Wall to wall.
It's wall to wall. I went to a tackle shop once that, here in the States, you get like one section of magazines that could be, 12 foot long. But in Japan, you can get it where it's 24 foot long, and it's all fishing magazines.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. They have comics, which is Japanese comic fishing. It's amazing. It's so different than anything that I ever grew up watching.
Yep. Fresh
or saltwater. So, and Oliver, as soon as you guys open up, you can count on me being over in the UK. I want to try some of that predator fishing over there. It's just something different you want to try.
Yeah, I've caught muskie before, but on accident.
On accident? How do you catch them on accident?
Just bass fishing.
So you guys get a lot of muskies up there?
So we have one lake down the street from my house. It's called Union Lake. Years ago, the state stocked it with muskie, and that's pretty much where I've caught most of the muskie in my life is in there. I go up a creek and fish for smallmouth and largemouth, and accidentally catch a muskie here and there. It's been a while since I caught one, but yeah.
What do you end up catching them on? Same thing that you're fishing for bass?
Yeah. So most of the time I'm in them fast water areas. I'm flipping a jig.
Okay, and that's when you catch them.
Yep.
You do any live baiting?
I've never tried it. Never did. As far as for bass fishing, I know it's huge in Florida.
My God, it's huge. One thing I've always wanted to try, I never tried because we do it sail fishing, is kite fishing. I always want to go kite fishing for bass. I just want to see
people do it with drones.
Yeah. The only thing is you got to fly the drone. You get a kite, you just put it up there and it sits all day long.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, largemouth, they're so lazy. They just lay over once they were caught.
Yeah. I just want to see the bite. I could care less about reeling anything in. I just want to see the bite.
Yeah.
What's the one thing the fish does? It swims, it eats, and it makes little babies. So if I can watch them do one of them, which is eat, then I'm happy.
So you've never caught a bass in your life, or you have caught a bass?
No. I've caught a bass. I just never caught one on kite fishing.
What about a smallmouth bass? You ever caught one of them?
I actually caught a smallmouth before I caught a largemouth.
Oh yeah, what was that?
Here in Florida.
Really?
My grandmother's sister had a house in Okeechobee City that they had a drainage pond and they had it stocked, but they had it stocked with smallmouth.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a big deal until I got older. And then I'm like, how the hell did I end up catching a smallmouth bass in Florida?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually smallmouth in Hawaii too, I'm pretty sure also. But if you want to, I mean, truly, like the St. Lawrence River, Lake Erie, them places, dude, they're smallmouth. Like they're real small. They fight like there's no tomorrow. They're big. They're 4 to 5 pounds, all of them. You want to go somewhere as good as St. Lawrence River. It is a special fishery.
Is it?
Yep.
Yep,
I'll
have to. Where would I have to fly into?
Somewhere's in New York, on the New York side. You could just fly in up there. The river's so darn long. Just pick your poison. Anywhere
Really?
on that side. Yep. On the west
I was
side.
actually looking to do some kind of a salmon thing up there, and I was going to fly into, I think, Albany.
Albany, yeah. So Albany from there is probably 3 or 4 hours from there.
Okay.
So Clayton, Waddington, they're all right along the river. They're all the spots. I'm sure there's an airport in Waddington. There's got to be.
Listen, as long as I can fly, count me in.
Yeah. It's special. I'll tell you right now. And they fight, dude.
Do they really?
I mean, they're not a marlin, but when you got light line, light tackle, it's a freaking fight.
Listen, fishing is fishing. I don't care. People get it confused sometimes because of all of the heavy tackle I do. One of the things I love doing is fly fishing on a river. I love fly fishing on a river. This week, I was supposed to be in Patagonia fly fishing for rainbow trout.
Oh, yeah. Never tried it.
No, I just love listening to the water go by and seeing stuff go by. And
yep.
Yeah, to me, that's half the fun. Even offshore, I don't reel none of that shit in anymore. I just do the work. I try to do the work so somebody else can reel it in, or I coach people. I just coach them on how to pitch bait and keep them calm. And a lot of the times that's the biggest thing. It's just keeping people calm. So they do all the right things, Oh my God, there's a 500-pound marlin behind my teaser. Relax.
That's right. Yep. Just let it
that's what they're going to do. And your job is just to let them eat.
Yep.
And if you just stay out of the way, they know how to do that perfectly. They don't need our help. So, and it's more of a team sport than bass fishing is, bass fishing, you got 2 guys on a boat. And I don't even know if you guys are a team.
So what I fish, I have a marshal or a camera guy. The marshal just stands there and makes sure you don't break any of the rules pretty much. But as far as local derbies go, most of them are team tournaments where it's 2 guys inside a boat working together to catch the biggest bag possible.
Okay. Now explain to me these marshals. That would, in our sport, we call them observers, but
same thing, basically.
Yeah, same thing. What kind of rules are they're watching out for?
So if it's a spawning tournament where we're actually physically looking at them off you catching them on the beds they live on, you don't snag them, you got to hook them on the mouth. Besides that, if you were to put, let's say you're calling, let's say you got your limit, you got your 5 fish, and then you put a 6 fish in a live well and you throw a cast, that's a big no. So they're just there to make sure you can't do that, because if you get caught that, you lose that fish plus a 2-pound penalty on your 5 best fish you have. It's a whole bunch of rules.
Okay, so whoa. Let's rewind this a little bit and let's talk about this. You can put the 6 fish in there,
but you have to call before you throw a cast.
Okay, so you can't leave 6 in there.
Correct.
Okay, and what is the purpose behind that?
So every state, pretty much for bass fishing, the limit size is 5 fish. So not only are you breaking a tournament rule, but you're breaking a state rule by having more than you can have in your creel, basically.
Okay. No, and that makes sense. I don't know. Again, because I'm not familiar with bass fishing, if you guys are using IGFA rules. But one of, like in saltwater, when we go by IGFA rules, one of the first rules in IGFA, which is the International Game Fish Association, is that you got to abide by all state and federal regulations.
Same for us.
So if you have 6 in your live well, you'd be breaking that, and that would disqualify you on the sense of IGFA.
Yeah, so ours aren't that harsh. You don't get disqualified. You just get a 2-pound penalty. All of our fish, so our bass boats all have live wells inside of them. All the fish have to come back alive. If you come back with a dead fish, you get penalized on a dead fish. You lose 4 ounces off your bag, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of rules, but they're honestly pretty easy to abide by. You just gotta, don't get too excited and kind of think a little bit.
So here's a question. Let's say you gut hook a fish and he's bleeding pretty good, but he's a nice size one. Do you take the chance and leave him in your live well, or do you release him?
So honestly, with a largemouth and smallmouth bass, if you gut hook them, if you don't tinker with the hook to it, if it's so far down, or a lot of times largemouth or smallmouth, you can go in behind the gill plate and put it in, or you can twist it a certain way, you can pop it, even if it's way down inside of it. But there's times where I can't get them out, and I can just look at it and I can know if I can't get it out. I just cut the line off, pull the bait out, put them in a live well. We have stuff called like catch and release or G juice. If you dump that into the live well, it's like crack for a fish. It'll keep them alive. It'll make them more than 100% alive. And one other thing guys do too, you can take pure peroxide and dump that into the water. Peroxide's 100% oxygen, and then it just revives everything. You just can't overdo it, but there's certain ways you can do stuff to keep them alive.
You know what? That's why we brought you on the show, is to tell us all these cool, neat little tricks. I'm going to start putting peroxide in my live well for my goggle eyes.
Yeah, it really rejuvenates them. And the other thing too, like a bass fisherman, dude, I make fun of it all the time. We're a glorified truck driver because we drive so many miles every year. We're basically a doctor. With smallmouth, you got to fizz them all the time. Fizzing them is basically releasing the air out of their bladder. So I stick a needle in their side, let the air out of them. It's a whole thing. If you don't do it, you're going to kill your fish.
Whoa. So we deal with the air bladder stuff when we're pulling in fish from very, very deep.
No doubt.
Now why is it that you got to do that with a smallmouth? Are you pulling them out from very deep water, or?
So a smallmouth, I don't know why, but a smallmouth can be in 2 feet of water or 30 feet of water. And a lot of times you got to release the air in their bladder, versus a largemouth where you literally can leave it in live well, even if it's coming out of deep water, and it won't die. It'll float upside down, but it won't die. A smallmouth is very tough when it comes to the fight, but when it comes down to nuts and bolts, they're really weak. So for a smallmouth, every time I get a smallmouth, I fizz a smallie. I don't know why even in shallow water, their air bladder blows up. I don't know if it's an excitement thing when you're fighting them because they're so freaking just going crazy, or what the deal is, but I fizz them every time I catch them. Every one I fizz, small or big.
And you say fizzing is popping the air bladder.
Yeah, so there's 2 ways to pop the air bladder. One directly down through the mouth, where sometimes if you catch a big fish, you'll see a bladder coming out of her throat. I would say the recommended way to do it is through the side, where you basically there's a line you can line up to do it, but you kind of just peel one of the scales up and you stick the needle in there and turn it and push it straight down, and it just releases all the air right in the bladder right away.
And you call that fizzing?
Yeah, we call it fizzing in bass fishing. Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm learning something new every day.
Yep. Yeah, when you fizz them, when you put that needle in there, I mean, it takes like 20 seconds. You have the fish in the live well. I hold it in my hand. I kind of make the fish upright. I stick the needle in it. I turn the fish, and you can just see all the air bubbles just coming out of the fish. When the air bubbles stop, you just pull the needle right out, and the fish will right itself right away.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And you can over fizz them too. If you over fizz a smallmouth, it'll sink to the bottom and stay to the bottom.
That doesn't sound like a good plan.
So if you're over fizzing, so when you get that needle inside of there, and if the bubbles stop and all of a sudden they start again, that means that the fish is physically breathing. You know what I'm saying? So when them air bubbles are constantly coming out, that's just the release of the bladder. And then once it stops, I pull the needle out directly real quick, because if you don't, like I said, you'll sink that fish to the bottom.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty crazy.
Look, that is pretty crazy. I didn't whenever we release the air, we want the fish to swim back down to the bottom. You pull a fish up from 200 foot of water.
Yep.
That's our biggest thing.
How do you guys release yours? I mean, what are you guys doing for it?
So we've always either pop the gut that comes out. We call it the stomach, but it's really the air bladder pushing out. Or you poke a needle, just like you said, lift up one of their scales. Yep. But now there's a new amendment for the South Atlantic Council that we have to redeploy them. So they don't want us poking a hole in them. They want us to send them back down to the bottom.
You could do the same with smallmouth. There's an actual thing for that too, but you're in a tournament. You're not going to deploy your fish. You just caught. You might lose it.
So no. We want them to go away. If you, let's say you catch a red snapper that's not big enough.
Yep.
you have to drop them back down.
Yep.
So they want you to have either a sequelizer, which is an actual device that you can set it, okay, release at 100 foot. You can put them in a milk crate or a milk crate and put something on top of it. And once you get it down to a certain depth, they'll swim right out.
Yep.
One of the other things was a hook with a lead on it, and it's upside down. So as it's going down, the fish is going to stay attached to that hook.
Yep.
But as soon as you start reeling back up, it comes right off. There's no barb or anything up.
That's how the one we have for freshwater, it basically hooks to your line. And when it slides down line, hits the fish's face where the hook's at. It just, same deal.
Pops them right off.
Yep.
So a big shout out to Steven Pate. What's going on? And to Tarzan Miller. What's going on, buddy? So everyone's popping in here, still watching.
Damn, I wish my name was Tarzan.
So, have you met Tarzan, or do you follow him at all?
Mm.
So we've become family friends. Tarzan's the oldest of 4 kids, and his name is Abram, and his name on Instagram is Fish Like Tarzan.
Oh yeah.
And he's 11 years old, and
oh, wow.
he is a badass. He's a really cool kid.
Awesome.
And really great family. And we were lucky enough. We caught him his first 2 sailfish about a month ago.
Wow.
Somebody called. I went fishing with somebody. They're like, man, is there anybody you need to take out fishing? Do you owe many favors? We need some people to wind in fish. And I'm like, well, no favors, but I got somebody I'd love to catch a sailfish there for the first time. So I invited Tarzan and his dad, and he caught 2 sailfish that day that between the 2 of them, I don't think they weighed 20 pounds.
Wow.
I want to say both fish were like 6 pounds a piece.
Hmm.
So you couldn't ask for anything better. So, and actually I just got out right before we jumped on air. He had called me up. He needed a letter of recommendation for a foundation. So I just wrote him one. I just got it printed and got to sign it for him. So
Nice.
11-year-old, really trying to jump into the fishing industry in any way possible. You know, he does a lot of river fishing and beach fishing, but I think he's got commercial fishing out of his system. His neighbor's a commercial fisherman, and he went out, and I want to say they caught like 600 pounds of kingfish. He came back. He's like, no, that's too much work.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. That commercial stuff is heavy, hard.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's a lot of hard work, and it's dangerous.
Yep.
Not to say that all the other stuff we do isn't dangerous, but yeah, you start laying out nets and long lines and all this other stuff. It's not easy.
Yeah, it can get bad.
But listen, being on the road like you are is just as bad. So how many you said there's 9 tournaments. How many different states does that cover? How much are you driving every year?
So yeah, like last year I put 50,000 miles on my truck. That's within 6 months.
Wow.
It's not the whole year, so that's just nonstop driving. Every year the schedule changes. We always seem to start down in Florida or Texas, kind of in the colder months. But I mean, we go. Bassmaster's been to California plenty of times. We go anywhere, so wherever the schedule brings us.
And you're driving all of them.
I got to tow the boat. Yep, every one of them.
Wow.
Yep.
I like to fly, man.
I'll tell you what, man. It gets to the point now, like it's the off season. Like I get in my truck and just go for drives because I'm so used to driving. I have to do it. And it's good too. Like in a tournament situation where A, you have a good tournament, or B, a bad tournament, sometimes the drive to the next venue, it allows you to kind of unwind a little bit. It's pretty good, actually, believe it or not.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
But me, I don't mind driving. I by no means. It's a time thing.
Yep.
I've been this year, 2020. We'll throw this year out. Actually, I'm subtracting it from my age. I don't know about you. I'm subtracting 2020 from my age.
There you go.
But a lot of times I come home, I have a 12-hour turnaround a lot of times. I come home, unpack my bags. The last few years hasn't been so much. Before I started dating my girlfriend, we've been dating now 3 years. I used to get home sometimes at 10 o'clock at night and have a 6 o'clock in the morning flight. Mm-hmm. I have just enough time to do laundry, maybe eat something, maybe take a nap, and jump on another plane.
Yeah.
But if I guess you guys are fishing from weekend to weekend.
Sometimes. So last year, I think we had probably 4 or 5 that are back to back. So if you made the cut on Sunday, your next practice day for next event starts on Monday. So you have to leave that derby at say 5 o'clock, drive all freaking night. And there's been times where I've never even got sleep, just go right to the next thing.
Holy smoke.
It's rigorous. It's nonstop.
Now here's a question. Who's responsible for finding a place for you guys to stay? Does Bassmaster line it up for you?
No.
Or you have to take care of it yourself?
So I take care of it. So I generally stay with the same guys. So it's either me and my buddy Garrett, or it's me and 3 other guys, and we always Airbnb all our houses. The nice part is 2 of the guys are married. I'm engaged now, so we do bring the girls with us a lot of the times, or some of the girls travel to every tournament. They book a lot of our stuff for us. Honestly, we get off the water. Let's say it's dark at 8. We get back at 8:30. They got dinner waiting for us. So they make it very, very nice for us, honestly, because it's hectic. If you have somebody that fills that gap where you don't have to worry about one more thing, it's big time. So, okay. Yep.
And that was going to be one of my next questions, was how does your fiance put up with you traveling on the road so much? But if she's with you.
I have never, even when she's not with me, this year, pretty much all the wedding stuff for 21 is all planned out. We're getting married December 10th of 21. Pretty much all the stuff's already taken care of, but there's still going to be stuff that she has to take care of. This year with 2020, she was able to travel so much because she wasn't going into work every day, and they allowed her to work off her laptop. So she was in the truck while I'm driving. She was working. So it made it a lot easier, but going into 21, I think things are going to start opening up, it seems like. So she might be home, stopping to work 2-3 days a week, whatever it's going to be. So she's going to be home a lot more, but not once. We've been dating for 10 years. Not one time has she.
Dear God, 10 years, and you waited this long?
Dude, it's crazy. I'm gonna tell you why. And for some reason, and I know the reason, I'm not saying for some reason, a lot of people in bass fishing end up getting divorced because
that's even in the saltwater industry.
Okay, because in bass fishing, you're on the road the whole freaking year. So for me, all my buddies always told me, they always said, don't get married, don't get married, don't get married, don't get married, because they all tried to make it while they were married, and it just completely ruined their relationship. I, on the other hand, I waited till I made it. And then that's what kind of gave me the go ahead and get engaged, honestly. And now knowing that who she is, it's not an issue, because I never once in all these 10 years ever had her say to me, don't go fishing. Don't do this. Don't do that. Because when I'm home, what do you think I'm doing? I'm still fishing. That's what I do.
Exactly. We're fishermen.
Yep.
That's what we do. People always ask, do you get tired of fishing? I'm like, I like it more now than I did when I was in my 20s.
Yep.
I love it more now.
I'm the same way. I burn for it, even locally.
Yeah. Locally, I don't get, unless they're really biting. It's just the competition. I still like going to these far out remote places because that's what I've always done.
Yeah.
I spent 20 years traveling throughout Central and South America. And that's what I'm, and Jimmy O'Neill says, and that's because you weren't married.
Case in point.
Exactly. I mean, and listen, I have a lot of young kids, and Tarzan's one of them, but I've had mentees. One of my mentees is 30 something years old now. I remember when he was 14. And I always tell him the same thing. Hey, listen, if you want to be married, I don't recommend being a fisherman. It's hard. Yep. And the fishing is not the hard. It's being away from home.
Yep. That's
the hard part. Being gone. What happens if a tournament falls on the same day of your kid's birthday?
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And people don't think about that.
Yeah, I thought about that too. So when it comes down to having kids, I'm going to plan to where I'm home. I know I'm going to be home. So.
Oh yeah, just plan. Make sure your kid's not born on a bass.
That's it.
On a bass tournament day.
Yeah.
Hold one day, honey.
Yeah. Yeah. There's actually so a lot of guys, I'm sure in saltwater too, they're very superstitious. So there's one of the superstitions in bass fishing is, so during the Bassmaster Classic, it's always like the first week of March every year. Guys try to plan to have their kid on the Classic, believe it or not, because it's something to where there's a statistic out there. The guys that have won tournaments have had kids that were due on the Classic so many different times that people try to have their kids.
Oh my gosh.
It's unbelievable. It really is.
One of my favorite tournament growing up, I fished it for 20 years. It's no longer happening, but it was in August, and it's one out of every 3 years it falls on my birthday. And I thought to myself, man, if I have a kid, I'd have to decide whether to fish the tournament or go home to my kid. So I'd always say, no, that's why I don't want to have kids. That's why I don't want to get married, because I don't want to have to make that choice.
Yeah.
That's a huge choice.
It is. It's
you
change your
know,
life.
and I didn't want to be a shitty dad. So I just decided I don't want to be a dad.
At least you're honest about it.
Yeah, no. I'm way honest. And truth be told, I could barely take care of myself. Never
No
mind
doubt.
another human being.
I know the feeling.
You know? You don't know how many days, here at home, I'm working. My girlfriend comes home. Hey, did you eat lunch? Damn, I knew I forgot something.
I'm the same exact way you are.
I forget. I get excited. I start talking about fishing. I start talking to people because, I do the podcast and that's for an hour, but I'm still on the phone most of the day. I do computer work. I build stuff. I upload. Like this morning, I've been up since 3:30 and I've been uploading podcasts, but they can only upload so fast. So I got to do something else. So I get on the phone, I start doing something, and next thing you know, I miss them. I miss lunch. And could you imagine if there's a kid, what's this yelling about? Or when I do podcasts in the afternoon, my dog, especially now with no daylight savings time, she likes her walk between 4:30 and 5. She'll bark and bark and bark. So I either take her out at 3:30 or I have an early podcast like today.
Yeah, people don't understand that it's a difference between being selfish and being passionate. Like the passion just drives us. It's not that we're selfish for each other. We're passionate about
and that's what it is.
It drives us.
Exactly. I don't think nothing about not sleeping for 20 hours. It doesn't bother me. If I get to talk about fishing, and now I will admit, as I've gotten older, the thought of the heavy lifting side of stuff is not as, it doesn't drive me as much, but going out fishing and talking about it and putting on these events and doing things to teach people how to fish and help them, that's what drives me. I know, because I just did a podcast with somebody else the other day. They were interviewing me, and my drive is to teach people or show people about our sport. And that's what drives me. Fishing, it still drives me, but hey man, when it's blowing 25 knots and I know it's 10-foot seas.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I'd rather talk about it.
Yeah, I'm actually partnered with a company called the Bass University. So one of the biggest bass pros to ever walk on the face of the earth lives 15 minutes from where I live. His name is Mike Iaconelli. So him and Pete Galuzak started a thing called the Bass University back in like 06, 07, which basically is the same thing. They have a crazy amount of subscribers that subscribe to it. And we do a podcast every Tuesday night, and it's basically talk fishing, to where we have all these pros coming across the country on the podcast. They do in-house seminars. It's just a huge, huge business as far as teaching people how to fish for bass.
Listen, people want to know.
Yeah.
They want to know. Okay. I got a couple questions here, so I got to fire through them because we've been yapping. Drew Scarpa wants to know, will he see you at any of the winter tournaments? What's
going on, Drew? Maybe. I don't know.
I take it you know Drew.
I do know Drew. Things are very hectic right now for me as far as preparation for next year. The internet research for next year is through the roof, as always. Besides that, just organizing rods, reels, tackle, it's just ridiculous.
So which leads me into your the next question from Stephen Pate. Does your garage look like Kevin Van Dam's, like Bass Pro Shop?
Just about. It's a tackle store. Like, so when Mike and George from SFT fish with me, I'm like, oh yeah, if you guys need backstock, I got plenty for you, because I got everything under the sun.
Let's see. And then Oliver Taylor from the UK, he wants to know, what setup do you have? I'm assuming that's
hundreds
boat.
of them. a boat.
Yeah. Let's start with, what do you pull your boat with?
So it's a Toyota Tundra. Not the best on gas, but they are the best truck as far as longevity, period.
Okay.
Yep.
And then what kind of boat do you have?
So I run a 20-foot 6-inch Phoenix,
Powered by?
powered by a 250 Mercury 4-stroke.
All right. What kind of electronics do you have?
All Humminbird, baby.
All Humminbird. Are you
Say
sponsored
it
by
proud and
Humminbird?
loud. I am, but I was running them prior to that.
Okay.
Yep.
And I don't have to ask what rods and reels you use because I see your shirt.
Yeah,
But
all
let's
Shimano.
let's throw it out for Shimano.
Yep.
You probably deal with somebody different than I do. I deal with Brian. He's for the Southeast United States. I don't know who the Northeast United States.
Yeah, so we have Chris Bueller, who's Northeast, but being on the Elites, I deal direct, straight up through the company that's in South Carolina.
Okay.
Shimano headquarters
In Charleston. I did a whole series of videos with them, with Brian. I flew up there and how to change your drag, how, different things that people, just basic stuff. I mean, that's what I'm trying to teach everybody. And at the time, I'm a Shimano fan. I'm a huge Shimano fan. And my first time to Japan, the first thing I asked for is I wanted to go see the factory.
Yeah.
And I found out that I was the first American in the fishing side, because
Wow.
most people don't know, but Shimano, 70% of their business is bikes.
No doubt.
So I was the first American fisherman to go see their new factory. And it was amazing. It was amazing. I got a chance to meet Mr. Uzo Shimano.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And the funny part about Mr. Shimano, and it was the son, it's not the father.
Yep.
The son, my age, maybe a couple years younger, we sat there and we were shooting the shit, talking, and just out of the blue, he's asking me, what's your favorite Shimano reel? What's the American market like? And then he's like, so tell me about you fishing with the Ken Matsuda reels. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Ken Matsuda fishing reels.
Mm-mm.
So Ken Matsuda is the head engineer for Toyota Formula One.
Oh yeah.
And as a hobby, he decided to build fishing reels, but he doesn't sell them to the United States. They're made one by one and they're only sold in Japan. And I was fishing with a bunch of people in Japan that had the reels, and I had never seen them, where the lever drag is on the left and your handle's on the right. And I had posted some pictures on my Instagram like 3 days before I go to Shimano. And he's like, so tell me about those Ken Matsuda reels. I'm like,
he's stalking you.
You son of a bitch. You've been following me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't understand. I use social media as a portfolio. And that's what I do. I use it to open doors for me. I walk into somewhere and people already know who I am.
Yep.
And it makes it so much easier for me. And that's what I use it for.
And that's what it should be used for, honestly.
It's huge. And there's some other, actually, we might as well, I've been keeping it off the air. But we're getting ready. We're waiting for Apple to give us our app. I'm launching. It's already launched. I launched a new social media platform called Fly Zone Outdoors. No politics. You can't talk politics. And this is just for people like you and I that like to fish. We can go on there if you like to hunt. Any fishing tournaments, I've got it set up because there's so many fishing tournaments that you have to upload photos to. I built it for that. So I can have all my tournaments where people upload their photos and videos for verification on there. Then I just built the social media platform around that. And my connections in Japan have already jumped on there, and it comes up in Japanese.
Wow.
In Spanish, it comes up in Spanish. Because I have so many tournaments all over the world.
Yeah.
I want locals to be able to use it. So anybody that's listening, it's flyzoneoutdoors.com. Jump on there. If there's any problems with it, just let me know. That's what the beta testing is for. I haven't pushed it out because I don't have the app yet, where it's easier for people to upload and download. But in today's world, I don't want to have, and nothing against Kim Kardashian, but I don't want to have to compete with her on social media.
Yeah.
I want to compete with other fishermen.
Yep. I would say that's the only, and no offense to anybody, but that's the only downfall to the social media is if you're a woman and you show some, you're going to get followers. Unfortunately, us guys, it's almost impossible.
It's hard. It really is. And I get it. I'm not knocking it. At the beginning, when I first started playing on social media, it's like, man, I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yep.
And I not struggled, but I've worked for my 500,000 followers that I have.
Yep.
I've worked for it,
yep.
But I'm also on 26 or 27 different platforms. And I work hard at it. And listen, you work hard at it too. So I don't knock anybody for it, but I'm doing something different. For me, I just want to teach fishing. I want to teach fishing. I want to make it readily available. I can pick up the phone right now and go fishing anywhere I want in the world.
That's awesome.
Anywhere. For any species. Well, I want to make that readily available for everybody. And that was my goal behind it. Originally, it was going to be a fishing only platform. And then I'm like, hey, can I also do it for hunting? They're like, why don't you just do it for everything outdoors? And I'm like, okay. So if you like snow skiing, if you like snowboarding, if you like kayak, it doesn't matter. Put it up there.
Yep.
If you like cycling, it's up there. So, and one thing we have that Facebook doesn't, I got an 800 number with 24-hour support.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey man, my shit ain't working.
Right. That's pretty awesome.
And Corey, one day I'm going to make it to Oregon. Or he's waiting for me to come out to Oregon. I have not been to the West Coast since all of this crazy stuff has started. Not for any particular reason, just unless I've got something going on, I'm going to sit home and work. I like to work.
Yeah.
So that when we do open up fully, I've got a bunch of shit going on. So I have people to go fishing with. So next time I'm up in Jersey, I'm gonna charter you so you can teach me how to catch a smallmouth bass.
I would love to take you out. We have a good time.
We'll have a blast. Maybe we'll get your dad out there too, just to pick on your dad.
He's pretty much retired now for the most part, so he's in.
Who's running the business?
He actually had some guy buy the company.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, then perfect.
Yep.
Well, shit. You know what? No, let's make your dad take us out fishing.
Right. Let's do it.
The hell with that.
Yeah.
Ask Greg when he's coming to Gunnersville again.
We will be there in June.
All right. There you go, Stefan.
Yep.
June.
Yep.
June. Make sure you ask Greg for his autograph when he gets there too.
Yeah, for sure. Come see me.
And if you need a pen, there it is. Always have the pen ready.
The Sharpie.
Oh, wait a second. That wasn't a Sharpie. What color do you want?
Black's fine. Black works the best.
I got gray.
That'll work.
I got yellow. This is my highlighter. This is for the old man so he can see. Highlight so I can see everything. So when's your first tournament for next year?
February 11th on the St. John's.
On the St. John's. Oliver, you let me know. I'll fly over there. Oliver wants to know, when are we going to do a multi-species adventure video together? You let me know, Oliver. I'll fly over there. Soon as this COVID thing opens up, I'm planning a 6-week European tour. Because of all of this podcast and everything else, everybody's invited me to go to Norway and Denmark and UK, and I was supposed to go fishing in France and Barcelona before COVID, but I had to cancel all that. So I think I'm going to do a 6 weeks UK tour, fish the Med, fish wherever. I don't care. I just want to go fishing.
That's awesome.
Just create content, have a good time, cause some trouble, eat some good food, drink a lot of coffee. Now, I'm a Cuban coffee drinker. He says one here and one over there. Okay, perfect. Let's do it. Florida's a perfect place to do it. You go offshore, inshore, and freshwater, all within one day. And if you want to throw in some shooting, go shoot some doves, shoot some ducks, catch some bass.
You guys are definitely spoiled down there.
Way spoiled.
Everything's down there.
Way spoiled. And nothing ever freezes over. Now, if anybody wants to follow you on social media, do you have a social media presence?
Yeah. So with Facebook and Instagram, it's Greg DiPalma /GDP. GDP is my nickname. That's what everybody calls me.
That's a good nickname to have.
Yeah. So if you take my name, you take off all the lowercase letters, you're left with GDP because it's capital P for DiPalma. So GDP. And then from there, you can go to Twitter. It's Greg DiPalma Fishing. But the Instagram and the Facebook is what I use more than anything.
You don't get nasty on Twitter, do you? Because most people get really nasty on Twitter.
Nah, my Twitter, I just have it linked to my Facebook, so whatever I post kind of goes direct to Twitter.
I'm kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll troll through there and get some information, some news.
Yeah.
But man, people are so mean.
They are.
They're really mean on Twitter. I don't deal with mean. I don't deal with
me either. Even if I get a bad comment on something, if somebody comments something, I just delete it. I don't even deal with it.
Yeah, I don't listen. I got plenty of haters that say enough shit about me. Oh, wait a second. Richard Marney, the Florida Slam, wild boar, a peacock bass, and a sailfish. That is so true.
A peacock bass is on my bucket list. I never caught one.
When you come down here, let's go. You know what? That's what we're gonna do. I had him on the podcast. It was oh my God, South Florida Bass Charters, Bill Lepre. He's like 10 minutes from the house right here in Lake Worth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, peacock bass charters. That's what we'll do. I told Dom I was going to take him and Dylan one day. Maybe we'll take him one day and maybe you and your dad another day.
I want to get a peacock. I want to get a tarpon and I want to get a snook. They're like my 3 fish I want to catch.
You haven't caught any of those?
No, up here and where I've saltwater fished at, it's, we just don't have none of that stuff.
So let's see. You're going to be here. You said next month, right? Or February?
February.
Okay. So
like February 15th to like the 20th, I'll be there.
We might have to go down to like Everglades for the snook and tarpon. I got a good guy down there, but peacock bass fishing, the best of it's right here.
Oh yeah.
Literally 15 minutes away.
Wow. Pretty awesome.
Yeah. So we'll call them up. We'll go catch some peacock and some clown knife fish. Have you ever caught a clown knife fish?
No, I've seen them before in pictures, but I never caught one.
Yeah. They say they're phenomenal.
Oh yeah. We got shopping carts where I live.
You got what?
Shopping carts.
Shopping carts?
In our lakes.
Oh, dude. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of those around here too. Listen, around here you got all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Can you ask him what his best tactic is in Guntersville, rubbing crankbaits, jig, or whatever?
And for Guntersville, so Guntersville is like a 1-2 punch. Either they're shallow or deep. If they're shallow, man, I think a chatterbait's hard to beat on Guntersville white. Besides that, offshore, I would say a football jig or a big crankbait, man. That's how I've caught them. It's either that shallow chatterbait fishing or it's and Guntersville is kind of known for a frog bite also, but that's only a certain time of year. It's only like a 2-3 week window that I know of where it's on fire.
Where you're throwing the artificial frogs?
Yeah. Yep.
On the surface?
Yeah, Guntersville is known for that.
That's got to be an awesome bite.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
See, I love all that surface bite stuff.
Yep. Well, you can come to South Jersey. I mean, we can do it here. Like a buzz bait works real good here where I live.
Really?
During the summer months.
The New Jersey State fish is the shopping cart.
This is true.
That's from Drew.
Is it? Yeah. So where I live here in Millville, our New Jersey State record is out of a lake right here in Millville.
Really?
Yeah, 10-15 was the size of the fish. Yeah.
Is that with a shopping cart or without the shopping cart?
Probably caught off of a shopping cart.
So there's it's been years, but right outside of Jupiter Inlet, during the summer, there's all these different rock piles that, bridges are thrown, all the rubble, and that's where you catch all your sardines and all your live bait. Well, somebody threw a basketball net, the whole 8-foot or 10-foot hoop
rack, yeah,
in the water. And I was running one day and out of nowhere, I see, I don't know, maybe a 3-foot section of sardines up on the surface. I'm like, whoa, I run right over them and I start catching sardines. I'm like, why are you guys here? And as I'm going over, there's like this giant 10-foot mark and then drops right down like a stick. So I'm like, I got to jump in. I got to figure out what this is. And I jump in and it was a basketball hoop.
Wow.
The ones that have, man. What's that?
You're pretty extreme.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, man. That's what being in the fly zone is all about, taking it to the next level.
I could see that.
That's what that's what people never, and I give my brother credit to that, because my brother always told me I'm never happy with the status quo. I always got to go just a little, like me flipping the snowmobile. I'm almost 50 years old and I'm flipping snowmobiles. I'm never happy with, if somebody is doing this, I got to do that. And that's just me. So why are these sardines on this little, and I'm on my flats boat. Your bass boat is bigger than my flats boat.
I believe it.
So I've got an 18-foot master angler, Maverick master angler. So jumping over and back in is no big deal. Well, that was a while ago, so maybe it's a little bit more of a deal now. But yeah, I jump in. I'm like, well, I'll be a son of a bitch. That's an old basketball hoop they threw in, and I accidentally found it. It's in like 40 foot of water, but it was just enough to come up, and the sardines would stay on it.
Wow,
that's
waypoint.
I did exactly. Boom, man overboard. Snakeheads in the Potomac love those floating frogs. Have you ever caught snakehead?
We have snakehead here in South Jersey real bad.
Really?
So the Delaware River has a ton of them, and a lot of the lakes here in South Jersey are connected somehow to the Delaware through a pipe, through some kind of canal system. So a lot of our lakes have snakeheads.
Really? So
we're actually, our tournaments around here are starting to do snakehead pools where everybody throws extra $5 in, and whoever catches the biggest snakehead. So if I see a snakehead, I throw a popping frog, man. I can catch them every time.
Really?
They kill it. Yep.
So Oliver from the UK said the pike love those topwater frogs.
No doubt. Same here.
Over in the UK.
Same here.
How big are those topwater frogs?
I would say they're probably 3 inches with some tails in the back, on average. But there's a ton of different sizes, but the norm is probably 3 inches, around 3.
Again, there's so many things I could say, and I'm just leaving it alone. This is a family-friendly environment. So I say
3 inches of plastic.
Exactly. Wait a second. That's more like 9. At least that's what I tell everybody. Enough of that. So GDP on all your social media, and they can catch you at all the Bassmaster Classics.
All the Bassmaster Elite Series tournaments throughout the year. You can follow on Bassmaster.com or go to Fox. You can check on their schedule. If you go to Bassmaster.com and click on television, it'll show you the whole entire format and then all the times it's going to be aired.
Well, listen, he's engaged to be married. I don't want any women bothering him, but anybody that wants an autograph, I'm trying to get you lined up here. All right.
Yep.
That's what we're trying to do, is make sure.
In bass fishing, it's not the women you got to worry about. It's the 40 to 60-year-old men that want to talk to you and get your autograph.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe. Yeah. Who wants to listen, if you were a rock and roll star, it'd be one thing.
Yeah.
But no.
I think a fisherman is the best of both worlds, because I don't want to say you can come famous, but you're so low key that you can go wherever you want and have no issues.
Yeah. I went out to dinner recently with my girlfriend and her mentor and his wife. As we were leaving, it was just the local sports bar. Somebody yells out, "Fly Navarro!" Oh, man. And my girlfriend's like, "Really?" I'm like, "You'll be surprised."
Yeah,
it happens more often than not.
Yeah.
But really, we're all just fishermen.
That's it. We're just everyday people.
Exactly. If somebody stops me, I'll take a selfie. I'll talk. I love talking about fishing, so it's not going to stop me.
Yeah, same here.
It doesn't bother me. Yeah, let's talk about fishing. The only time it bothers me is if I'm trying to get somewhere, or if I'm in a restroom. Don't talk to me when I'm using the bathroom. I'm just when I'm walking out, when I'm washing my hands, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I got no problem talking to anybody for sure. I mean, that's not the issue ever. I'm just making fun of it, but yeah, anybody that's, around any of the tournaments, come up and say hi, do whatever. If you need some baits, let me know.
Okay. I'm going to make a deal.
Yep.
What's today's date? The 28th or 29th?
28th.
28th. Okay. If you see Greg out there and you mention this podcast, first person to do it will get a signed copy of my book.
And I'll throw a signed hat in.
There you go. All right. So, but it's got to be at an event. It can't just be random. I don't want somebody at ShopRite running up to you. Hey, I saw you on Fly's podcast. No, it has to be at a Bassmaster event.
Yep.
I saw your podcast, and Greg, you call me up, say, hey, so and so just said it, and I will get you a signed copy of my book, and I will send it to them. So, but they have to go out there and find you. So, and can I have it anyway? Oliver, you have to fly to New Jersey from the UK. And right now it doesn't look very good.
Not so much.
Yeah, no UK flights anywhere into New Jersey or New York. But Oliver, other than that, I think we can work something out.
Yeah. He'll send you a raft.
I'll send you that same inner tube that I was offering you.
Yep.
So on that note, is there anything you want to add or take away?
Nah, just thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And
now I need to ask you for a favor.
What do you need?
When you win the Bassmaster Classic all year event,
yep,
I want to have the first podcast. I want to have the first interview.
I've already promised somebody that.
Whoa.
Yep.
Bass University?
I did.
Okay. Can I have the second?
Well, it'll be the third. You'll have the third.
Who's going to be the first?
So Ike Anelli also runs a thing called Ike Live, which is
Uh-huh.
a giant podcast in bass fishing, and they're all tied together. So it'll either be Ike Live or the Bass University first, one of the two.
How about if I offer something bigger?
Like what?
A
sign book?
Nah, way bigger than that.
Ooh,
let me work on it.
Like a fishing trip to Brazil or something.
If that's all it takes, I can make that happen.
Easy.
Really,
that's easy.
Oh wait, fly, get the shout out on TV. Maybe something like that. All I'm saying is, you're saying there's a chance. There's a way I can leapfrog.
I'll give you the fourth one. How's that?
No, how did I go from third down to fourth?
Because two are tied together. Well, third. Yeah, so third.
So first and second, I get the third.
So third. All right, third.
So what I'm saying is there any way I can jump ahead of those?
Yes, I'm gonna tell you how right now.
Okay.
You have to be at the event.
I have to be at the event.
Yep.
I will tell you what. Not when you are.
If you're at the event, I will give you the first spot.
Here's the deal. I will fly in a camera crew to do it.
Okay.
But you got to give me a heads up, like saying, hey, listen, I am in the running. I'm in the top 3, or there's a really good chance. And
I'll know from my practice if it's going to be good. I'll be like, all right, it's going to happen.
You let me know. David, where are you jumping in from? He's saying ciao. I don't know where he's coming in from, so I want to know where he's in. Let's see. Oliver, love the Ike lives.
Yeah, good
stuff. Listen, I'll go live. If I have somebody with a camera, I'll go live and blow that shit up everywhere.
We should try to get you on the Ike Live.
What? Oh, is that what he's talking about?
Maybe.
Yeah. Let me know. I'll go on. I love podcaster. I like talking.
Yeah, he's got a good podcast, man. It's very entertaining.
Is it?
Yep.
It's funny because this one, as soon as I'm done with this one, I got to process it and send it to the guy for V-Bar, because that's where he's blowing it out across. But yeah, I give these things away. I just want people talking about fishing, man.
No doubt.
But yeah, if you want to get me on Ike Live, just let me know. And saw my first Ike Live recently. So yeah, I'm always looking for something crazy to do.
Cool, man.
I'm always doing something crazy to do. So anyway, on that note, you sit there, you don't hang up. Everybody else, thank you for joining us. Again, you can watch this live, or you can watch this here on Facebook. It's live on YouTube as we speak. I'll have it up in a couple days on Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast, it's going to be there. Fly, your chair is squeaking again. No, it's not. I've been squeaking back and forth. I haven't heard it. And if it does, I hit it with my sponsored Lucas Oil drops on it. Fly is still my first love, though. Oh, hi, Mom, all the way from Nova Scotia. Anyway, Oliver Taylor, we interviewed Ike at ICAST last year. Man, I got to figure out who this Ike is. I don't even know who he is.
One of the biggest names out there.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Yep.
Anyway, to all you cool cats and kittens, we're going to sign off here. We're supposed to come at you live tomorrow, but I saw a text message come in. I don't know if it's going to get postponed, but we're going to try to get another one in before the end of the year. Everybody, thank you so much for your time here on the No BS World Tour. And if you want a copy of the book, make sure you get your copy today at bestcatch2020.com. Other than that, Greg, thank you very much for your time today. Everybody else, thank you for your time. And we will check you guys later. Peace out.